Welcome everybody to a very festive Society of Main Characters evening. Today we are going to be discussing A Christmas Carol. I'll be discussing it with my friend Keegan. Cool.
Merry Christmas, or I should say, bah humbug.
I was like, where is he? I'll be
Wait, wait,
discussing it
wait.
with my other. What?
Bah humbug. Okay, bah humbug. I'm not changed yet. Give me till the end of this episode, okay, and then I'll say Merry Christmas.
Okay, cool. You're the one that came on and said Merry Christmas. We'll
I
also
did.
be discussing this with our friend David.
Why did you pronounce bah humbug bah humbug?
I don't know.
Hey, I feel like he's just
Can't even say it right. But yes, Merry Christmas to you, Nick.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, David. And our other friend, last but not least, our friend Brenden.
Merry Christmas, y'all.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas, Brenden. And not the challenged bah humbug. I don't even know what that is.
He sounded like he said it was like a Christmas song, like bah humbug. Anyway, welcome,
Anyway,
gentlemen.
Nick, you picked A Christmas Carol. This is a classic of Christmas stories and also a classic of ghost stories, which is kind of an interesting mix, but very of the times for where it was written.
I mean, I would say this is possibly the most famous ghost story of all time.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It has to be the most, if not top
It's
three.
one of the top, at least, yeah.
Yeah. But Nick, what was the reasoning outside of obviously the time of the year? Is this a book you've read before or first time read? Like, get us into the thinking
This
behind the choosing.
so this was a first time read. I'm a huge fan, as you can see behind me. I'm a huge fan of the Patrick Stewart Christmas Carol. It came out in 1999. It's my favorite iteration of the film adaptations. I've watched it every single Christmas, so like for the longest time, and I picked up the book on randomly when I was at like Second and Charles one day, and I was like, you know what, let's go ahead and read this like one Christmas, because I haven't read it before, and I wanted to really dive into the book. So that was my thought process with it, and since I had the pick for December, I was like, I know exactly what book I'm gonna pick.
Now, real quick, just something I want to ask David because I know he's also read a lot of books from this time period. Does this feel a lot less or a lot more timeless than the other books written in the 1800s, David? Because a lot of them, I think, are kind of hard for
Yeah.
modern audiences to get into.
For me personally, I think this ranks among the tops in literature in general when they consider like literary classics and stuff. I think this ranks among the tops of the most palatable and easy to read for people today. That it does have that kind of timeless quality. It's not going to trip you up a lot. There might be a couple of words or phrases you may be a little unfamiliar with, but usually context clues is more than enough to get you through. I think it is extremely timeless, and I think that's why there's so many iterations of it, why it has such a huge fan base and popularity that it is, because like you said, I think it does stand up a little better than a lot of other literature written in this time period and even around then, and even from Charles Dickens himself, like Tale of Two Cities, Oliver Twist, things like that. Like, they're all good stories, of course, as people know them, but none of them come close, I think, to the magic of A Christmas Carol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely, for me, when I was reading it, I was just like, it is so much more palatable than like even Sleepy Hollow, going back to another one that we've read recently, and Bell Witch, which is a little bit older per se, but this one, a modern audience, I think they can read it. And perhaps too, there's lots of adaptations, but it is so easy to read. And I think that's what makes a good classic is it's timeless. And for me, this one,
because I would even say, even against, like you mentioned, a couple of them, and then things like Ernest Hemingway's books, even stuff like The Great Gatsby, time periods that maybe even a little sooner and closer to what we have now, modern day. I think this is still better than all of those in terms of being easy to pick up and read now. I mean, did anybody have any issues? Like, did the time period stop you at all? For me, I didn't feel anything. I felt very much tuned in to like what was going on.
No, I didn't think the time frame, the writing, it took me back at all. Like the one book around this time frame I had a hard time reading was The Picture of Dorian Gray. That one's a very tough read, but this one felt easy, felt kind of just that. I mean, had I not known it was written in the 1800s, it felt kind of modernish. Felt like
Yeah, like you could see
there's some
somebody
things
just
just
choosing like that
present.
time period to write it about, but more
Mm-hmm.
of like a modern, yeah. Because I want to say even Dracula was written after this. I think because
Bram
Dracula was like
Stoker.
1897. Yeah, that was
Yeah, then it
almost
would.
100.
Yeah.
So this would come before that, and I think Dracula feels a little more archaic in its writing and such than A Christmas Carol does.
What about like Frankenstein?
I want to say, was Frankenstein before or after? Let me check real quick.
I'm trying to think. I can see Mary Shelley's Frankenstein over there, but
Yeah. Frankenstein goes back to 1818,
so
so that's the
that
beginning of the
predates.
1800s.
That
Yeah,
predates. Does Camellia predate it as well? I think another
I believe
vampire
so.
story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well, no,
classic
because
feature.
Dracula was kind of one of the very first vampire stories. Because it was inspired, of course, by real events with Molly Brown and all that stuff, or whatever her name was.
And Vlad the Impaler, and
a little bit, yeah.
yeah.
So I think it's just interesting that this definitely came before Dracula, and again, I think Dracula is written definitely a little older feeling than what we have here. But I mean that makes sense because I don't know if you guys know like the history of this, and we don't have to really get into that. But he basically wrote this because dude was broke. Like Charles Dickens needed some money, so he needed to write a very crowd pleasing, hot selling book, and I think he did a good job.
Do you think he had his own personal Ebenezer Scrooge in his life that was an inspiration?
That's a great question. I don't really know. He definitely had like debt collectors and stuff, so I could see him thinking that profession, because he was a loan officer basically, is what Scrooge does. That he could feel like the way they were coming after him for money was a very soulless and wouldn't care about holiday togetherness and things. But honestly, until this book came out, Christmas was a very different holiday than what we have now.
Definitely.
Yeah, this book literally kind of reinvented what Christmas was, and the things that we do now and a lot of traditions kind of stem back from this. That's why they have a whole movie about it that's literally called The Man Who Invented Christmas, and it's all about Charles Dickens like writing this book, and this kind of set the tone of what people expected of Christmas time ever since then.
Mm-hmm. Just that magical feeling, which I think it comes through, and you see it in most adaptations, at least with his nephew. And of course, once Scrooge learns everything he's supposed to learn and to be a good person, that real joy of the holiday comes through. And yeah, Christmas was a party holiday, I think, pre this.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't as big. It was kind of a minor holiday, I think. I think it was a little more religiously rooted and such, since they had decided that's when they were celebrating, Jesus' birthday and everything like that. Even though realistically he was born like in the spring or summer, I believe, like historically. But of course, it was taking the place of the pagan traditions of halfway through the winter, that kind of stuff. But I guess that's also why, like, when you're reading it, that whole interaction at the beginning between him and Bob Cratchit, when he's talking about, are we going to get to have the day off? And he's like, man, it's a pretty poor excuse to rob a man's pocket every December 25th. Like, I guess it's not so outlandish back then that they maybe wouldn't be off on Christmas Day. Like now, it's like, of course you're off on Christmas. And back then, it's like, I guess.
Yeah, I guess there's a few things I think can definitely set it for the time. The whole Christmas thing, I think modern equivalent is like maybe you're not off for like Thanksgiving or something, right? Because I
maybe
think
like
Black Friday. I don't know.
Maybe like, oh, you're not closing for Columbus Day. I don't know.
I mean, I know I've had to work on Thanksgiving Day on my
maybe like
first
a Labor
job,
Day,
but yeah,
like something where everybody expects to be off and they're not,
right.
or maybe like 4th of July where it's like a family thing still, but they don't really care.
Mm.
So Keegan, I'm gonna ask you first. When was was this your first time reading the book?
No, and it's one of those things I don't know. My first time, I think just Christmas Carol itself is so entrenched in Christmas season, especially the films. There's so many of them, and they are usually playing, what is it, the Christmas on one of the TV channels. At least two or three of them are playing Muppets. Some of the earlier ones I know behind Brenden, I saw that one in theaters. So it's not my first
Scrooge
reading.
gets plays a lot, the Bill Murray one.
The Bill Murray one,
Yep.
but that's more of like a parody of the whole thing.
I
in a
wouldn't
way.
say so. I would just say it's a modern adaptation. He,
I would
he
definitely.
literally sees
I would
all
say
three
it's.
ghosts.
I
Yeah,
would
but
say it's. I would say it's. It walks the line between parody and modern
No,
adaptation.
if
It's kind of a mixture of both for me.
I would say a parody would be more like Ghosts of Girlfriends Past.
That is also true. I can see that.
That's
David
more
was
of a parody.
just.
This one is literally Christmas Carol just in the 80s or 90s. You know, it's the same basic story. So I wouldn't say it's parody. It's an adaptation. No, not my first time. I believe my first time actually reading the book. I want to say it was like late elementary, early middle school. We actually read it in class. And I've read it a couple of times since then, just on my own for whatever various reasons. So I'm pretty well established with it. And I feel like I've seen at least 10 or 15 different movie / adaptations, all the way from the Mickey Mouse animated ones all the way up through, you know, the more modern day things they have out there. It's a very classic structure of a story. And as a matter of fact, something I was going to bring up that we can discuss later on, but what do you think is a more classic story between this and The Wizard of Oz?
I would say this because it came first.
yeah, this one predates.
But like
it,
it like prevalence today of like how much you see and how many adaptations and taking that story
Still, I would
structure.
still
You think
say.
it's this one?
I still would say Christmas Carol. I see a lot more iterations of a Christmas Carol than like Wizard of Oz media. Like Wizard of Oz had, you know, the classic film, and then it had Return to Oz, The Wiz, but those kind of fell by the wayside a little bit, and then Wicked now has made a resurgence of that story.
yeah,
But
and I
I
would say
definitely
with
think
like,
I think A Christmas Carol has a lot more prevalence, especially since it's like we just discussed. It's on. There's different film versions on every single year.
yeah, and I would say with Christmas Carol too, that one feels more timeless than Wizard of Oz, even though they both hold up pretty well as far as the books. But as far as the movies go, you see so much diversity in like good films that there's so many different choosings that people have of what you might see somebody's favorite Christmas Carol movie. Whereas like The Wizard of Oz, it's probably either going to be the original
It's the Wizard of Oz.
or
It's the original.
yeah, or maybe someone likes Wicked. I mean that's the two I could see people picking, but it's not
But
like
that's not really the Wizard of Oz. I feel like that's more of a spinoff. That'd be more like if there was a movie about like Fezziwig and his rise to
A movie about Bob Cratchit and his side of the being a ghost.
it's actually Marley, and he wasn't a villain the whole time. He was actually
That's right,
misunderstood.
Marley. Sorry.
he's the one who set up the ghost to even go help his friend. He's a good guy.
I mean, he kind of did, right?
Sorry.
He kind of
He was
helped
misunderstood.
Scrooge. Yeah, he kind of helped Scrooge not turn into him, right? That's kind
Yeah.
of Marley's character.
I mean, I would almost say, of course, behind the birth of Jesus, because that's going to always be the number one. But this is probably the most well-known Christmas story out there,
Oh yeah.
right? Like, I can't think of one that is more popular.
What about Rudolph?
I mean,
See, Rudolph, though, but Rudolph I consider more of a song.
Okay.
Because I feel like that's where the fame, that and like Frosty and things, Santa Claus, that's all kind of like legend and lore versus an actual like book or movie specifically about like, there's a lot of very popular ones, but I don't think you beat A Christmas Carol.
Yeah. Brandon, what about you? Was this your first reading?
It was my first reading. I was actually kind of excited that we were doing it because it is one of my favorite Christmas movies during the holidays to watch. So finally getting around and to reading it was enjoyable for me.
Did it hold up for you?
Yeah. I actually listened to a voice recording of it for a little while. And at the beginning when he was saying that if the sick were gonna go die, then just do it. The way that the voice actors said it was very Palpatine like, and so
Do
I
it.
enjoyed it a lot.
They better do it then. Execute order Christmas Carol.
Execute Carol 67. I will say that line in particular is probably one of the more archaic, though, where it's talking about the poorhouses and like the like debtors prison type stuff back then that people, and they're like, well, people would rather die than go there, because people pretty much did go there to die, because that was back when laws, if you owed money, you could literally get put in jail for it, which has very much changed today.
Well, and going off of like the whole sick part of it too, that would be news back before modern medicine was made. So like a lot of people did just die from disease as well.
I mean, not even like you could catch the flu back then, and that was it. Like
you could go to the doctors and they would kill you. Like at some of our presidents.
Yeah, because they used, that's still back when they used to do like leeches and things like that.
Before they sterilized their, or their
didn't even wash hands.
Yeah. Well, and like another sign of the times is just like parts of London not being so great to be around.
Right.
This is something that's I've talked about a little bit with the Jack the Ripper stuff, but there was literal places where you paid a penny to lay on a rope, and that's where you slept. So just like not a great place, and so it's kind of interesting to find like hope. And
there was a lot of disparity of wealth and a lot of big, like the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah, there was no like middle ground.
Yeah, there was not a middle class as much. It was you were poor or you were wealthy. Which is interesting because I think we do actually get all versions of that in this story. Because I would say Scrooge, of course, with the wealthy. We have the Cratchits, but I would say his nephew was probably the closest to middle class, because he obviously was not as wealthy as Scrooge, but he seemed like he was doing okay. He and his friends, they seemed to be kind of like the middle class, like we're doing okay for ourselves kind of society.
Yeah.
I mean, going off that line too, though, that if they want to die, they better do it. I love after reading the book and after watching so many different iterations of the film, I love that line is thrown back at Scrooge as well.
Yeah, back when he's talking about Tiny Tim dying, and he's like, well, then he should just do it and decrease the surplus population. Yeah. Yep. And I love that almost every version you see, they keep that line.
Yeah. Yep.
Like no matter the adaptation, they always keep pretty much that same sentiment. I think that's pretty cool.
Even the Muppets, and I think it's the kind of weirdest one coming from the Muppets, because he's not as dark of a character in the Muppets. And when he says,
I don't know. I almost feel like he's most realistic in the Muppets as a person, because you can kind of see how he was just a regular guy that the world hardened him kind of thing, but not to the point of like a caricature, which he almost becomes in some versions of this. Like in Scrooged, you don't believe that that's a real person. How he's acting. It's over the top.
I don't know. That feels like Bill Murray, just like to the T for me.
I mean,
it's Groundhog Day all over again.
No, speaking of the Muppets, actually, I have one thing I wanted to say real quick, because I put a couple of notes here in my phone for this discussion.
Well, let's start with the Muppets after we do the book.
Yeah, we'll go into some of the movie adaptations and definitely the Muppets, but let's finish out of the book.
So out of the book, what would you say was your favorite like moment, favorite ghost, whatever? Like, what did you enjoy the most from the books?
I mean, my favorite ghost is always a ghost of Christmas past, just to like that way, it gives him like kind of like brings hope back into his heart before he got hardened. Like, oh yeah, I was super happy to go home and super happy to see my sister and see my family and all that stuff. And I always had the thought whenever I saw the movie and when I read the book of like maybe his father went through something very similar to this experience that he has, right? Because he says like, his sister's like, oh, father's a changed man. He's so much happier than he used to be. So I always have that thought, like maybe his father had a situation where he was visited by a ghost and he had to go through this kind of story as well.
That'd be interesting. Like it's a family thing almost.
Yeah, a family thing, or just like Ghosts just haunt anybody who's an asshole kind of thing around the holidays. David's not amused by that at all.
Keegan?
It's hard because there's a lot of good ones, but I think the Marley one, just the first one, the classic chains and something about the imagery when it's his time, he just floats off into the world and he just watches him like get pulled out, and that's his never-ending life now. It's kind of terrifying and spooky. So I
Just
like that
roaming
one.
around with chains.
Yeah, and forced to always travel, and that's your forever life. And he's like in pain, and it's you can hear the wailing of the other spirits as they go by. Like, I think that one is still my favorite. There's a lot of good ones.
I think it's interesting because the way they describe that, what you're talking about, it almost reminded me of the way they've talked about like purgatory, like in Dante
for sure.
and stuff. Like, yeah, it almost feels like that. Like he has to atone to a certain level before he can ever get out of this, and like maybe this is part of that.
Yeah, and I think one of the adaptations, and I think it was like in the 70s, kind of builds on that to where he actually spends some time with Marley in like purgatory or hell, and
That's
it's all like
crazy.
frozen, much like Dante's Inferno, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting, but again, that's feels like a very classic British ghost, and it feels like maybe that's where it comes from, but also I'm sure they were around a lot longer than that, those type of ghost stories, but it's just a very classic ghost, and the whole idea of hearing it slowly approaching your room, and I just like he's like
Like
you're
the
not
heavy
real.
chains getting closer to the door.
Yeah, because you can hear that, you can hear ching, ching, ching. I mean, that's great. I like it.
Brendan, what about you?
I'd say Present, the Ghost of Present. I don't know.
Okay.
I liked him the best. The Jim Carrey one is my favorite Christmas Carol movie. And as I was reading the book, I could also like see the plays, like visualize the parts that I was reading from the movie as well. And I've just always liked the Present's like character. So
It's also weird for him because the ghost of the present is always dying because he only lives that one Christmas, and so
He
he
only lives it
ages.
one day.
Yeah, and so I think Muppets might be one of the only ones that really showcase this one in the
Where he
film.
got older at the end and everything.
Yeah, the other ones really don't, and some of them don't have the right like clothing color because some are red and not green or whatever. But
And we could talk about that a little more, but also I will say one of the differences in the Muppets, though, they didn't have him with the two children
Yep.
yeah,
that are
which is
under his
always a
cloak.
weird
Greed
thing.
and
Like,
greed
here's
and
some
envy,
children.
correct?
Something
Yeah.
like that, yeah. I would have to say, out of all the ghosts, I think my favorite, I think I agree with Nick, is the Ghost of Christmas Past. Because I think out of all of them, that's the one that kind of tells the most complete story. Like it does the most to explaining why Scrooge is the way that he is. And it shows basically how he went from a happy, loving, joyful man kind of into who he is now. And his choices of putting business before love and what happened with Belle that he was so crazy about. And, because he also has that whole line about how love is like the only thing that's more foolish than Christmas and things like that, like earlier on. So, that like something happened. So I do like seeing all of that because basically it's showing how it happened. Then the Ghost of Christmas Present is like, because of what happened, this is how you're viewed now. And then if you don't get your shit together, this is how it's going to end. So I feel like out of all of those, the biggest crux of it was definitely, I think, the going back to the past and being like, look where you look who you used to be and where you are now. And it just does, I think, the most to set the tone of everything and kind of influence the rest of the story kind of moving forward.
Also makes sense why he hates the day with everything that's happened on that day. So
Yeah.
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 A lot of bad experiences on Christmas specifically.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, things that he kind of correlates to. Yeah. By the way, the two kids are ignorance and want.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yep.
So I guess kind of like ignorance and greed is what I would say,
Yep.
like equivalent. Yeah.
Yeah. But now I noticed that too because I was watching a Muppets Christmas Carol. I actually went and watched it back a second time because like I didn't miss anything, did I? And yeah, they didn't have the two kids. But.
Yeah. So I guess speaking of those two kids, what do you guys feel like was the point of those? Because that was definitely one of the more, I think, moralistic kind of messages of the story in a way, or like adding on to the stuff being said.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people put like when it comes to Scrooge, I feel like he put a lot of his own wants ahead of the things like other things in his life. Like he wanted money, but he put it above like love, like we just mentioned, and therefore the want of money kind of drove him towards a darker rabbit hole kind of thing.
So what I got out of it and what I've heard before is basically that ignorance is supposed to represent the way that people a lot like Scrooge, that were the wealthy and the well-to-do people of that era, and I guess now, because it's kind of a warning to society in general, how if they're not seeing like what's going on with the poverty and things like that, that it becomes a huge societal issue. And then want is apparently supposed to be somewhat a representation of poverty and the lack of having like basic needs, kind of like the Cratchits, how they couldn't even get the basics to keep Tiny Tim healthy, how they had to struggle for food and things like that. And it's kind of the personification of like the desperation of things that they would need. And that's what happens when people like are not cared for, kind of thing. So it was kind of, in my mind, it was like the Ghost of Christmas Present, because that's supposed to be like today, like that day, that era, showing them that these two like are things that could potentially become huge problems as they grow, that are still present even though it's Christmas.
What about like showcasing maybe, because there's a lot of like obviously like biblical undertones because of what the holiday is, but do you think those are showing maybe some of his like deadly sins, if you want to call them that? Like
That's
Scrooge's specifically.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Yeah, that ignorance and stuff is something that is not only Scrooge's problem, but society as a whole, and that he is basically saying that like people like him are the problem that are bringing down all of society. Which would make sense because again, Charles Dickens, even though he was a popular writer and everything, like he obviously was not wealthy. Like he probably had just as many like eat the rich kind of feelings as a lot of people these days and things like that.
He was a Shane Madej type of guy.
Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, this is kind of one of those first stories that's saying like there shouldn't be billionaires. If you really like, this is very much a anti-rich people kind of story, because it's clearly saying that if you have the wealth and the means, that you should be giving that to
less fortunate,
helping less fortunate people.
Yeah. But I don't know, Brenden, what do you think of it?
I was kind of also thinking it's something along the lines of the deadly sins route. Yeah, that's. I just when I first saw them, I kind of thought of them as like, I don't know, the ugly monsters that they could be.
Mm-hmm.
They're meant to scare you into not feeding them wrongly, if that makes sense.
I mean, also demons show themselves as kids, so maybe they were demons. I don't know.
Okay, so let me see. So
nice jump. So
apparently, all right. It says symbolic meaning. By personifying these issues as starving children, Dickens emphasizes the tragedy of the situation and makes a powerful argument for social change, compassion, and education. The children are a direct reflection of Scrooge's indifference and a call to action for him and the reader to be more aware of those in need. So I guess it is like the societal message for us all to help those less fortunate, be better.
Yeah, it's about
By
like
his
the kind of about like the human experience and just trying to be better. And like you mentioned earlier, like the movie The Man Who Invented Christmas. I mean, this story kind of changed the way I think people view Christmas. People, I think, are a little bit more giving around this time of year because of this story.
Yeah.
It's definitely a nicer celebration and a more of a let's get together and have this kind of thankful thing, I guess, kind of like Thanksgiving versus let's go get drunk. Because a lot of times, I mean, Christmas was banned in America for a while because that's what they would do. They would just go get drunk. So, and break stuff.
Did you say Christmas was banned in America?
For a little bit, yeah.
What? When was that?
When?
I gotta look that up. I've never heard that.
I haven't either, but I mean,
Massachusetts Bay from 1659 to 1681.
Yeah, it says Christmas wasn't banned nationwide in the U.S., but it was outlawed in the Puritan-led Massachusetts Bay Colony. Mm-hmm. So that is not banned in America. That is like one city saying you can't. That's like saying the Footloose city was the entire country.
Dancing was banned around all of America because of one town.
I guess America wasn't around, but as far as the colonies,
that is also true.
There wasn't a lot around at that time.
Yeah, but again, this is one colony. Again, it's like if it was the Footloose city and they said no music, no dancing.
No music, no dancing, and that's all of America has to follow that now.
Are you saying Footloose is a modern interpretation of A Christmas Carol, David?
Not even a little bit.
No, it was just an 80s thing for teenagers wanting to dance.
I saw somebody try to argue that Home Alone was a modern interpretation. I was like, I don't really see it.
That's a very loose argument.
I heard a cat.
Yeah, I heard a cat too. Was that you, Brenden?
No, you don't have to mute it. We were just asking if that was your cat.
It's not my cat. It's Trinity playing Minecraft.
Oh. It's fine. I mean, it doesn't bother me. But yeah, I think that I think he had a lot of. I mean, I guess this is Charles Dickens in general. He does have a lot of social issues and stuff that he talks about in a lot of his books.
For sure, David. I have a question to ask. I don't want to ask it to everybody now, but I'll ask you first. Was the book your first introduction to this story? Because it sounds like it might have been since you had to read it in school.
No, just like Keegan, I think I watched probably movie version, cartoon version since like 1 or 2. Like I feel like it's one of those things that everybody basically literally grows up with in some form or another. Like even if you're not necessarily super conscious of it and watching it, I think you'll have it in your face in one way or another. Again, with like the Mickey Mouse version out there, the Muppets, things like that. Like I think it's a very go-to Christmas thing that if you're a child growing up in America, you'll probably see it on TV in some format or another before you're going to read the book.
Right.
Or even maybe a stage show.
I've seen plays numerous times. Keegan and Brenden, I'm guessing the book was not your guys' first introduction to this story.
Brenden, I'll let you go first, then I'll go.
No, this is my first time reading the book, so and I've been watching the movie forever.
Yeah, and for me, no, as well. Like David said, there was just so many interpretations that you could see growing up, and the holiday specials were always on. And of course, as a kid, the Mickey Mouse one or Muppets that came out, and I think Muppets, as far as who the characters are supposed to be, better casted than the Mickey Mouse one, but story for a different time. But yeah, definitely not my first introduction.
Gotcha. Has anyone here seen a play production of this?
Several times.
Keegan?
I have not, no.
No? Brenden, you said no?
No, I haven't, but I would love to.
It's really good on stage, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I've seen it numerous times on stage too, and there's like a few different theaters will do it differently, but I like the way it's played out on stage a lot.
I think the most recent one I saw, you can actually see a little bit of it if you go to my YouTube channel, Abnormal Voyages. We had a Christmas special a couple years back that we did at Busch Gardens in Virginia, and during the holiday season, they turned their whole park into like Christmas land. And the entire theme park becomes Christmassy. Like they even shut down the regular rides and only do Christmas stuff. But one of the things they do in one of their big theaters there is like a 45-minute adaptation of A Christmas Carol that they do live on stage. That was very well done. They have a cast of about probably 50 people or so, and they do like an entire village, and like it's really neat.
That's awesome.
No, it sounds cool. I would love to. I just haven't had. I don't know if I've had any opportunity to go see something like that.
I almost guarantee after this, if you go Google like
It'll
A Christmas
pop up
Carol
everywhere.
around me,
Yeah.
some local theater or something in your area is probably doing it this season.
The
I
last-
find that- yeah.
The last time I saw it was actually here in Parker, Keegan. So
Oh,
there's
was it?
I
Yeah,
actually
there's-
know of 2 versions that are going on near me right now. One of them is a professional, or actually 3. One is a church that is doing different parts of it every like Sunday leading up to Christmas. They're doing a different section as it keeps going. Second one is a professional theater downtown that's doing it. And third is another professional theater that I actually want to go see, and it's called A Drunk Christmas Carol. And what they do is before each show, one of the actors at the beginning has to take 5 shots and then do the show.
That sounds awesome, actually.
Yeah.
I would love to see. If you do see that, let us know how it is.
Yeah, they did, because usually it used to just be drunk Shakespeare, and they would do like Hamlet, Romeo and Juliet, whatever. Then they expanded it recently, and Halloween they did Drunk Dracula, and now
Oh,
this
that's
is their
awesome.
first year doing a Drunk Christmas Carol. And I was like, I've heard it's really fun. And then like other actors will drink at certain times. Like only one of them starts out with like the 5, and then other ones will drink like slowly as it progresses. But
It just gets
I've heard it's like
incoherent.
I've heard it's really really funny. Yeah.
I can see Shakespeare because like if you do Shakespeare like the old way with just like the line before yours and your lines, I can
the
see it
iambic
working out
pentameter
really
and
well.
stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And being drunk, they'd be like, "What?"
Right. My next question, Brenden. I'll ask you this time. I'll ask you first this time, Brenden. Did you like the story and did it resonate with you in any way?
No, it did not resonate with me, and yes, I did like the story. I think with it being one of my favorite Christmas movies that I normally watch, I was excited to read the book, see what differences there were.
Keegan, how about you?
Oh yeah, no, I think it holds up really well. I know we'll get to our ratings, but it's a fun, really easy read. It's very cool to have that kind of British spooky ghost stories, and I think it opens up anybody to self-reflect on past. I mean, obviously that's what the story's about, is reflecting on what was and what you can do to make your life better, so you don't end up. I enjoyed it, and of course, I think you can take stuff away from it.
David?
Absolutely love it, of course. And as far as the resonating, 100%. I think it very much, like Keegan said, does open up for some self-reflection, but it also kind of drives home, what everybody's always saying, that Christmas is not about the presents. It's not about, just the decorations, things like that. It at the heart of it, it's about the people that matter to you in your life, the connections that we forge as one human being to another, and just the love and joy that the season is supposed to be about, and how easy it is to lose sight of that for a lot of more material items, a lot more of the kind of physical world around us. Whereas, Scrooge is very well off. He's got a lot of money. He's got everything you could probably materially want. And yet he's probably the most unhappy character in the entire book. And it shows you why. It shows what the real value should be in, especially at this time of year. So I think it's a very strong message that obviously very much holds up. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about it 100 years after it's been published. Yeah, it's almost 200 years that the story's been out, and I feel like it's still just as relevant to us today as it was when it was written.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That kind of bleeds into my next question, but some of my favorite Christmas stories are like movies about Christmas have nothing to do with the religious aspect of Christmas, but more so like the human experience of it. Like
Mhm.
Christmas Carol and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation are two of my favorite Christmas stories because they're not about like the holiday itself, but more about like the human experience of the holiday. Like Christmas Vacation
In
to me is
very
always a
different
movie.
ways in those two.
Oh, very, very different ways, very different ways. But like Christmas Vacation for me is about like the chaos of having your family over and experiencing like such a big holiday with family. And Christmas Carol for me is like a story about what it means to like kind of show compassion to our fellow humans, and how like every time I've watched the movie or like after reading the book, I just wanted to like I wanted to go down the street and give hugs and like cheer to like everybody I've known, you know. So I mean, that's what like these like Christmas Carol and like a Christmas Vacation mean to me. Like reflect on me about like, well, how do you guys like feel about them? How do you guys reflect on them?
Yeah, just Christmas in general, or Christmas story, or specifically a Christmas Carol.
Both.
Yeah, I would agree. Like a Christmas Carol definitely gives you that like warm, fuzzy feeling at the end, seeing the change and the importance of all that. Christmas in general, though, hands down, like this is my favorite time of year, easily. I love most of the movies that go into it. I love even, like you said, some that aren't religious. I like those just as much. Um, it seems like there's always a good kind of wholesomeness almost to every good Christmas movie. Like even silly ones like Jingle All the Way, fantastic movie, and you feel great at the end. And especially when he gives like the bad guy still gets to have the Turbo Man doll for his kid, and he's like, "Yeah, my dad's my Turbo Man." Like it's very sweet. It's a lot of that family experience and that the humanity of again, being humans, being here together, and just enjoying and treasuring that love that you have for each other, and being able to share that and spread the joy and kind of forget about your troubles for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say along the lines of David. If you go in, at least for me, if I go into a place and it's Christmas themed and there's those certain smells, that just are Christmassy, all the lights and are going, there's music playing. I just get the feeling on the inside that just feels all like happy, and I think good Christmas stories reflect that. And this is one of them, obviously, because you see such a drastic change from a character that just hated it. And we see why. Obviously, we learn why he hated the holiday. But for him to just 360 and just see the goodness in it again, I think that's what it's about. And just helping, like you said, Nick, your fellow person, your fellow man, just help them get to a better spot as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Brendan,
I
anything
would
to
agree.
add?
You know, um, I think one of the reasons I like this movie and some of my other favorite movies around Christmas time is because they're about the people around you and helping people and family and that type of stuff, and that's always what's been my favorite part about the holidays and around Christmas is not necessarily the presents and the stuff, but it's people don't you get to see a whole lot, or even if you do get to see them a lot, it's still a special time to see them and stuff. So
Not only that, but I think another big point of the Christmas Carol is we're shown Scrooge, who Ebenezer is basically like the worst of the worst in how people talk about him, what he's done, things like that. And we see through this that he manages to still change and find redemption. So I think part of it as well is, if the worst of the worst can be redeemed, then there's hope for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he
Well,
goes from his family bad talking him to just like a person that everybody loves and talks positively of. So,
Exactly.
well, and like you mentioned, Keegan earlier, like why, and David as well, but why we learn how he got that way was because of like Christmas past and how he had a lot of bad experiences. But I would say towards the end of the book, he learns like have compassion for like Tiny Tim, especially because it's like I feel like he looks at Tiny Tim and it's like there's no reason that kid deserves to die, and so he wants to help the kid. He wants to help Tiny Tim out a lot, as well as helping out like Bob Cratchit and his family, and then going and saying hello to his nephew because he realized that he did his sister wrong. And so I think he just learned compassion at the very end for other people instead of focusing on the negative experiences within himself.
And I do like that it kind of makes a point in the Ghost of Christmas Present era, you know, when he's showing us what's going on in Christmas, that even with as terrible as he's been and how awful he's treated people, that his nephew and Bob Cratchit still take a moment to kind of like honor him and have like not lost hope. And like Bob Cratchit is still like, you know, the founder of the feast, that, you know, that's why we're able to have what we do have is thanks to him, even though his wife's like, you're crazy.
Even though his wife was like, I hate that man.
Exactly.
Or his nephew being like, listen, I don't care how hardened he is on the outside. I'm going to wish him a Merry Christmas every year.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm going to invite him every year to come because he's still family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, the whole story, I mean, it just kind of makes you believe that maybe at Christmas there's just this kind of magic that makes anything possible.
Absolutely.
Or at least 3 ghosts that will help make it possible, right?
4 ghosts.
Four technically.
Four ghosts and 1 really crazy undigested piece of beef.
Or potato.
Or a
little chunk of cheese.
Yep.
There's more gravy than grave about them.
Such a great comeback. You just gotta use that more, David.
There's more gravy than grave about you. That'd be a very interesting one to bring back. Anything else before we go into the movies you guys would like to discuss?
I think it's interesting. This has definitely been the shortest book that we've read.
Yeah, 143 pages.
And yet I think that it packs a lot more of an emotional punch than most of them.
It has definitely more like a moral story than they do.
Yeah, like this would almost be a novella, you know.
Yeah, I think that's what it's described as a novella.
I'm not sure. Let's find out.
A lot of times you can actually get it because I think Dickens wrote some other Christmas stories, and I think sometimes it's just in that collection.
It is considered a novella.
Okay.
But when it came out on its own. It was not in a collection or anything like that.
No, yeah. And it came out on Christmas Eve. Like he was like pressing to get it done in 1843 for Christmas Eve, I believe.
Yeah.
And
which again, in that movie, you'll see a lot about that and the timing. And they were like, it's going to be impossible to publish it by then.
And then by Christmas Eve, all 6,000 copies were sold out.
Yep. It was basically his biggest hit. I think that's what he's known for. Would have to.
I mean,
it's definitely one of the biggest ones he's known for sure.
I mean, if somebody asked somebody on the street, like, "Hey, what did Charles Dickens write?" Is this not the first thing they're probably going to say?
This will be the first thing I will say. But
who's going to be like, "A Tale of Two Cities, Governor"?
Maybe Scrooge himself, since he read it in The Dark Knight Rises. But
David Copperfield.
David Copperfield might say that. I don't know.
I feel like there was another book I had to read for school from Charles Dickens.
Probably A Tale of Two Cities is my guess.
Or Oliver Twist. That's a pretty popular.
Oh, Oliver Twist would make more sense. Yeah,
that's a big school time with the little orphans and everything.
Yeah, that would actually make more sense.
I might be wrong. I didn't brush up on it like I should have, but I'm pretty positive that growing up, Charles Dickens had a pretty poor family. And I want to say like one of his parents, like his dad maybe even died at the debtor's prison or something, or a work camp, or had to go there for some length. And like he had a financially rough childhood and everything growing up. And I think that influenced a lot of the stuff that he wrote and why he was so like, we need to get rid of poverty and look at it as a society to help people kind of thing. So I think a lot of his stories kind of lean and skew towards that because of what his life was like.
It would make sense. I don't know myself either, but I know when we looked at the Raven and talked Poe, just all the dark stuff he went through in his life and how that reflected in his stories, it would make sense that similarly like Dickens would.
Yeah, I mean Dickens had a walk in the park compared to Poe.
Even in death, Poe got no happy ending.
Yeah. Poe would have been thrilled to see Ghost showing up for Christmas.
Actually, I think the book I was supposed to read, I didn't actually read it. I think the book I was assigned to read in school was Great Expectations.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I could see that too. Yeah.
Now, what's interesting, now that you brought him up, though, it is very, very possible that these two authors read each other's works, because Christmas Carol was in that same kind of time period as Edgar Allan Poe.
And it would fit like Poe's like. I know a lot of what we know about Poe now is kind of cartoonized or characterized into like this dark, angered soul, because he wrote a lot of like happy stuff and comedies, and I think
It just didn't sell as well.
No, and I think he even wrote one of the first like science fiction ones about a rocket that goes into space or something. But yeah, it feels like something that he would have read, and I know we said the same thing with Sleepy Hollow. I feel like all these things, I bet all these authors were reading each other's works at some point.
Because it was like the popular entertainment of the time period. Mm-hmm. It'd be the same as like, oh, did you go see Avengers? Of course I fucking saw Avengers.
That or go watch the brother of a soon-to-be presidential assassin go perhaps perform some of these plays. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Edwin Booth actually performed any Christmas Carol ones, but he might have, because he was.
I don't think Christmas Carol became a stage play till much further on.
Much later. Okay.
Yeah.
I just know he was like a big actor, so I was like, oh, maybe he did, but that would be kind of.
Yeah, they might have read it, but yeah, I don't think that they did adaptations like that till down later. The line. Yeah.
I'm looking that up real quick, actually.
But I know Booth saved Abraham Lincoln's son at a train station. Like, could you imagine how like that feeling changes when you see his brother shot your dad much later?
A Christmas Carol became a stage play remarkably quick, with the first dramatizations appearing in London theaters as early as February of 1844.
Wow.
So, see, Booth could have, and I'm gonna see.
That's probably the quickest turnaround from book to stage play. For at least one of them.
Wow. So get this. You ready?
Keegan.
Yes. I was looking up as well.
Your microphone, please.
Edgar Allan Poe read and deeply admired Charles Dickens's works, reviewing them positively and even meeting Dickens in 1842 with Dickens' Raven Grip from Barnaby Rudge inspiring Poe's iconic poem, The Raven. Poe was an early champion of Dickens in America, recommending his novels and praising his psychological depth, while Dickens was impressed by Poe's insightful critiques, leading to a literary connection between the two famous authors.
Isn't Dickens name dropped in The Raven as the actor that he was going to go meet in Europe?
I have no idea.
Or not the author.
I know what you meant, yeah.
And for fact check, no, there's no record of famous 19th century Edwin Booth starring in A Christmas Carol. He was more known for Shakespearean roles like Hamlet. So,
and that was also in England. It might have been a while before America did productions of it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's interesting though. I didn't know that they knew each other.
Mm-mm. And now that makes that name drop. It makes more sense now in that movie, as far as why he's going to go meet Dickens at the end, and then of course he gets killed before he can kill Dickens. But
so
interesting.
Edgar Allan Poe, as we know, died in 1849.
Mhm.
So it's very possible that he read A Christmas Carol.
Very possible.
It may have been one of the last books he read in that last year of his life.
While he was talking to specters. Maybe he was having his own Christmas Carol moment.
Imagine if
That's
it was.
why he was going crazy.
Imagine if it was the last book he read.
I mean, depends on how fast you got stuff from England, but there's a very real chance. Maybe Dickens sent him like an autographed copy, like, hey, for my friend, like sent it over. And then he didn't get around to reading it until like, right before he died.
Let's see. I'm searching.
I will say I don't think I'd be sad if this was the last book I ever read.
No, you could do much worse. Like
Okay.
Starship Troopers.
Yeah. like half a king. or Starship Troopers.
I feel bad that we just picked the same person's books.
Yeah, I feel bad about that too. Hope he knows that we love him.
It says the first complete American edition was published in Philadelphia in April 1844. So Booth is still well alive and kicking, and he might even be around that area anyway.
I'm sure they at least read or heard of A Christmas Carol. I just don't know if they would ever have performed in it.
No. Poe. That's what.
Oh, you said Booth.
So it came out. Booth is still alive and kicking, and he goes around Philadelphia at times. So it's very possible.
Again, you mean Poe? You keep saying Booth.
Yes, that's what I meant. John Cusack, that character.
Okay, so yes, Christmas Carol came out 1843, and then
Yes.
if he died in 49, there's literally no way that he didn't read it. That was 6 years, and it's an author that he was literally friends with and admired. You know for a fact he had to have read it.
Absolutely. Do we want to talk ratings for the book, or do we want to go into movies now?
We can talk ratings of the book real quick.
Keegan, what would you rate this book?
I think for its timelessness alone, probably a 10. It's hard not to. Personally, I'd probably give it a 9, but it is super timeless, so I think you'd probably have to bump it up to a 10. But like I said, it's easy to read, and that's not something I think is very common with 1800s books. A lot of times they either feel very dated, or if you read them today, you wouldn't understand the lingo. And also just like the expansive cinematography record that we have too. I mean, 10 out of 10 for me. I don't know. It's easy.
Brenden?
I'll agree. A 10.
David?
I think I'm going to say like 3. I'm just kidding.
I was like, go ahead, rate it however you want to, and then give us why.
Yeah, no,
he reads it every few years, but he's still like, man, this book fucking sucks.
I just keep hoping. I just keep hoping something will.
I hope something will change.
I find something else to bitch about every single time.
He buys a different version every year, so maybe it's different.
Yeah, I buy a new one. I'm like, maybe this time. Maybe this time.
They omitted this word here, but didn't omit it here. What's going on here?
That takes it down another half.
2.5.
No consistency. No, I don't think you can give it less than a 10. It is probably the greatest Christmas story of all time, at least so far. Like, even if you look at it, like, what would you change? And it's almost nothing. I mean, I think we spend a little too much time with the Cratchits because fuck poor people. But besides that, no. But I think it's almost a perfect book. Like, it hits all the right spots. It's the perfect length. It doesn't drag anything on. We get all the information we need. They don't cram a lot of stuff that isn't necessary. The dialogue makes sense. It all moves the story. It flows really well. It is a very easy sit down and read in one sitting kind of thing. You know, I think it's a fantastic story, and I think that's why it is as timeless as it is. And I think it has very, very much far outlived its author. So
Very much so.
I guess if you're being super critical, you could find a way to give it maybe like a 9, but it's Christmas, so 10.
I agree. I think it is 10. I mean, after I read it, I almost wanted to like sit my family down and read it for them, like for Christmas. But like, I don't think I can get my family to sit down and listen to me read a book for that long. So, but it's
You know, it's funny
definitely
when like you say that, it just makes me think like your family's illiterate, and
it's
any stories they ever get is if you read it to them, and you're like, I was like, I'm gonna treat them.
And they're 5-year-olds because they can't sit around long enough for him to read a story.
No, that's definitely not it. It's just my family aren't big readers. You know, they don't. I don't see my family reading.
I mean,
books
they're
often.
Vikings fans. I understand.
Yep.
Words are hard.
Words are hard. Wow, throwing the sports shade at me ahead of our showdown night this weekend.
Yeah,
Huh?
sorry. We'll save that for tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm.
Round 2.
But no, I just say again. I mean, I could read this in like an hour, like in like 3 hours or so. But I don't think I could like have my family sit down and listen to me read it for 3 hours.
I know what you
a
mean.
shorter amount of time. You know.
I
But
do
yeah,
feel like
definitely,
it's a better like personal experience, like reading it yourself kind of thing. I think is better.
absolutely,
Now,
absolutely.
Nick, would your family watch you act it out with some friends, like act out the whole story?
Maybe. It's a hard time. I have a hard time saying yes to that, but it's a definite maybe.
What if they happen to watch it in like the UNC like theater or something like that?
That's you know what? You're getting closer to the yes there for me.
And Scrooge is played by Yusuf Khan. I mean, 10 out of 10 right there.
No, Scrooge is played by the UNC Bear mascot.
He has no lines. It's just people holding up signs of what he would say behind
No,
him.
he just goes "Roar," except when he says, then they should die and decrease the surplus population.
That's the one. Every other line is, but that's the one line he says in complete English.
Yep,
That'd be a funny adaptation, actually.
I'd watch it. But yeah, so what do you say? You would say 10 out of 10?
10 out of 10. It's
That
a
makes
timeless
this
classic.
officially the first perfect book that we've ever read. Congratulations, Nick. You've won, and we can end the book club.
I am the greatest.
You did it.
We already have another book planned, though.
Well, cancel it.
Well,
Unwrite it. Unpublish that book.
Go back to Barnes and Noble and be like, I need you to take this back now. As a matter of fact, recall it.
I need you to wring the ink out of these pages. Just. But yes, so do we want to talk a little bit about the many
adaptations
of this wonderful story?
Yeah, well, David, why don't you kick us off with the main offering for A Christmas Carol this time is the Muppets. Why don't you kick us off with that one?
Yes. So I believe I even mentioned this in things with talks we've had before. I think Muppet Christmas Carol is not only the greatest adaptation of A Christmas Carol, it might be the greatest book adaptation ever made. I think this is such a perfect piece of media. There's so much that goes into it, and they do so much to honor the original source material and get a lot of it out there. Because if you look, almost all of Scrooge's lines in A Muppet Christmas Carol literally is dialogue in the book. Almost every single thing he says. They do a fantastic job. I think you mentioned earlier with casting, like the place where they put the various Muppets works out seamlessly. They don't go for the easy of being like, fuck it, we'll just make Kermit Ebenezer, or, no, they don't go for any of that. They put them all where they belong. They don't try to stretch out any character's time because it's a more popular Muppet. Like Animal's one of the most popular Muppets, Fozzie Bear, and yet they're only in that one scene. They do such a great, like, honestly, watching it personally, I don't know about you guys, I forget that it's Muppets. Like it does such a good job.
I don't. That's because I'm not a fan of the Muppets. So that kind of took me
I
away
just
from
feel
it
like
a little
I
bit.
think it fits, and the little jokes and stuff that are added are so perfect. Like just at the very beginning when they're just showing like just the street, when it's just like panning in to start the story, there's like a cart of like food, and like a little kid like jumps up and like steals one of the like Muppet, and he's like, and the food literally starts, oh, we're getting stolen, like it's such ridiculous, like it's great, it's so good, it is awesome. And I do believe, at least out of all the adaptations that I've personally seen, this is the only one that actually has Charles Dickens / the narrator as a character that is in it. None of the other ones actually have that, which is a very important part of the book because it's a narrator telling us the story.
So unless you count the man who created Christmas.
That's showing it. That's not a Christmas Carol adaptation. That is a biopic about Charles Dickens. During
it's kind of like that's like saying Romeo and Juliet and Shakespeare in Love are the same thing. They're not.
Very, very different. And
I will say,
it's the man who invented Christmas, not creative.
I will say to that point though, David, I did appreciate. I'm not a fan of the Muppets, therefore it took me back a little bit. But I will say I agree with your point that I did like that they didn't go with like, oh, Kermit Scrooge. They actually integrated the Muppets as characters themselves.
Absolutely, and I very much respect and I like Michael Caine. I think this is one of his best acting jobs ever. I still
see him as Alfred from The Dark Knight, but that's okay.
See, that's crazy. That's crazy because it's so much more recent.
I understand.
That guy from Jaws, that he just did that role for a paycheck. So
yeah, I feel like he acted his ass off in this movie. Like he sells it. If he wouldn't have done a good job, you could not have done this crazy movie full of Muppets. Because there's a lot of times where he is the only human.
Yeah, no, I think
absolutely right. He did a good job.
I don't think he's my favorite Scrooge, but that's because I think there's a lot of really good actors that have played him. So that's
I think that again, I think that he does one of the best jobs of showing Scrooge like still as a human. Like you can still relate and believe that this person exists. People like your buddy Patrick Stewart there, it's almost a caricature in how evil he is. Like it almost isn't realistic that somebody is that like angry, kind of a person.
True, I can see that.
And I think, and it fits that story. Like it's fine. It's not bad. He still does a fantastic job. Patrick Stewart's amazing. We all know that.
Right. No, I understand what you mean.
But yeah, I feel like he brings kind of a warmth and humanity like that you usually don't get with Scrooge because everybody plays him as so much a, bah humbug, fuck you guys, terrible guy. But in this one, they do a good job of reminding you that he used to be like a good guy and showing that. And I do like that we see changes in him starting ever since they go back into the past. A lot of other Scrooges, you don't really see him changing up until the end. With Michael Caine in the Muppets one, you literally do see him becoming more sympathetic, becoming more, like almost like it's, like his eyes are being opened as he goes. You're seeing more of that development of him, of what's going on. And I think they do a really good job of that and make it accessible, not only to kids, of course, because it's the Muppets, but to anybody else that's watching. It's a fantastic family version of the story. And something else that I found out today, which kind of blew me away. The Muppet Christmas Carol is the very first Muppet project that did not have any direct involvement by Jim Henson.
Oh, really? I thought it was the last one.
Nope. No, the last thing he ever worked on was the Muppets 3D that ended up at the theme park.
The ride. That makes okay. Yeah, we did talk about
this.
That.
This was the very first thing they did after he passed that he didn't have any involvement in. So I think that's why there's so much emotion to it, so much like, and you have to imagine there was a lot riding on this because I'm sure they didn't know if they could do this without Jim. So I think a lot of it was probably like sink or swim, depending on how well this story does. So I guess it had to be, a lot of passion into this and really doing their best. And I think it shows. I think this is a shining example. This is probably, in my opinion, the greatest Muppet piece of media that exists. Out of any Muppet movies I've seen, out of any Muppet show episodes and stuff, as if you're taking all of it together, I think this is their pinnacle of Muppet entertainment, is this movie. I don't think any other Muppet piece, like, they come very close. Like, I like the Muppets. I'm not like a massive fan, but I'm definitely a fan of the Muppets. And I think they've done a lot of great things. Muppet Treasure Island, awesome, another great adaptation. But I don't think it's as good as this one.
What about Muppet Wizard of Oz?
That is like down in the garbage. that is only above the Wiz in Wizard of Oz adaptations.
The only thing I will say about the Muppets Christmas Carol, the only quote unquote negative thing I'll say, because it's not that I didn't like it, I'm just not a fan of the Muppets. I did find it funny at the beginning when they're, because it's established that Scrooge is a very crotchety, angry old man, but then they have a whole song and dance about how much of an angry old man is, and it's following him as he's walking throughout the city. And I gotta say, I would be a crotchety, angry old man too if I was being followed by a crowd of people singing about how nasty I am. I'd be very angry.
I thought about that, but I believe that this is supposed to be like musical logic.
Right.
Where nobody knows they're singing, and then when it turns around at the end, and they all like scatter, like, oh, I think it's just that. I think what he would have seen is probably people whispering about it and stuff, like in the streets as he's walking through, being like, "Oh, right, there goes that asshole," that kind of thing.
Right.
But I get what you mean. Yeah.
Yep, I understand. I understand that, but again, that was the only quote unquote negative thing. I mean, like we mentioned earlier, they took ignorance and want out of
he is every time.
Exactly. It's like, dude, I'm just going. Like, dude, I'm just going to work. Can you get off my ass? Like, can you please just leave me alone? I'm going to work.
I just woke up like 30 minutes ago. It's freezing out here. I'm walking to work.
It's cold out. I'm walking to work.
They don't know me. I don't know them.
Yep, exactly. But I mean, yeah, I was pleasantly. I watched it. Like I said, I watched it twice because the first time around, I felt like I might have missed something. I feel like I might have missed them including ignorance and wants in the story. But then I watched it the second time.
I think that might have been a little
last
too
night.
Dark.
It was
/ deep for kids is why they must have taken it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. But I just watched it a second time. So like, did I miss something there? Did they take that out? But yeah,
I am glad though that for the most part, besides like that, it does not feel to me like they watered any of it down for kids. Like, they don't remove the fact that like the Marleys are dead, and they don't remove them like at the end being like glad that Scrooge is dead, and they're literally like robbing his body in the house as soon as he dies.
I did like the characters at the end, like, oh, this is a little too scary for us. We'll see you at the finale, kind of thing. Like, they kind of like, even though they were near. Yeah, it was funny, but I also liked it because even though they were narrating the story, they're like, we don't want to spoil the ending for like the people who are waiting for the ending now. Like, if this is your first iteration of A Christmas Carol, definitely a spot on iteration of it for sure.
Yeah, I think they do a remarkable job. Like I said, this is one of my favorite ones, and I think they do a very good job of translating the medium of what it is into theirs. Like, they do their own little spin on it, but it doesn't ruin anything, and I think it enhances the story. Whereas something like Scrooged, which on its own is, I mean, Bill Murray's hilarious. It's it's a good movie, but that very much changes a lot of A Christmas Carol to the point, like Keegan, like you said, like it is almost parody.
Yeah, it's very divorced from the subject matter that it's.
Yeah, it definitely changed it. Like the Ghost of Christmas Past is like a taxi driver now. Like, it definitely adapts it into the more modern day and changes things around a lot, but keeps kind of that bare bones. So it works. It's still very good, but it definitely changes. I would say a parody would definitely be stuff like what was that musical that came out a couple years ago with Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell?
Spirited.
Yeah,
Spirited. Yeah. I think.
Yeah, that
I didn't actually see that one, but
it wasn't very good. I had high hopes for it, and then it was bad. But
I heard
that
it
would
wasn't.
be like I think that would be a parody.
Well, and before we go into parodies, I also will say my favorite joke from the beginning of the Muppets is when he's using the rat to wipe down the window, and he's like, "Thank you for letting me be a part of this." Like,
yeah,
I thought that was a very funny joke. I like
Rizzo. Rizzo is so good.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that they cut like comedy with this very serious story to kind of like
and
just
they
make
do
it
it, and I
more.
feel like they did the right amount where it doesn't overpower it. Like it doesn't take away from the message
Absolutely.
and doesn't make it all silly. It's just enough to keep people engaged and still have like some humorous parts and like that kind of Muppet zaniness.
Right, absolutely. But no, going off of parody, you mentioned earlier another version of this story, Ghosts of Girlfriends Past, which
I
is
think it's a
kind of
fantastic movie, but it's a parody.
it is it is a good movie, but it's absolutely a parody and doesn't really have anything to do with Christmas. Just more of just a
Well,
guy
I think
not
it
sleeping
stops.
around anymore.
The only part that's Christmas is I believe it takes place during Christmas time, like the wedding.
Yep.
I think it's like a Christmas wedding, and that's about
Yep.
it. Besides, it's kind of like Christmas Carol meets like Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, kind of. I can see that. But yeah, I mean
But I thought that
that's
was I thought
definitely
it was a very good concept. Like it was definitely a parody. It takes the concept of it and puts it in its own thing and makes it kind of more jokey. But I think it's a very well done movie. If you haven't seen it, y'all should go check it out. It's good.
absolutely.
I have not.
Absolutely,
I
I
have
agree with you on
not.
that. It's a solid movie.
I mean, it's Matthew McConaughey. His stuff's always at least entertaining.
Right.
Mhm,
Yeah, no, as far as
absolutely.
the Muppets one goes, though, I think a lot of the enjoyment factor probably starts and ends with how much do you like the Muppets, right? Because I know people that really don't like the Muppets and they do not like this version. And I know a lot of people, this is their favorite version, you know? And again, they like the Muppets. Now, for me, I'm kind of in between, like, never was really big into them, but we all know who, like, Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy and all of them are. And I think this one is a really good one and definitely needs to always be in the contention for best. I think the acting is really good, and like David said, as far as like Michael Caine, I think he gives a lot of really good, like, just subtle performances where it's a lot in the facial and stuff in the background almost, but it's just like him showing realization or sadness or just some emotion in the background. Now there was one time at the end where I'm like, it looks like he's just looking around like, what the fuck am I doing? You know, like he's just like an old man on stage, like, but no, I think he did a really good job. I don't know the actor that played his nephew, but I thought he also did a great job. And for what David was saying, as far as being like the first one post, you know, as far as like doing the Muppets, I don't think you can tell. I think they did a really good job.
No, yeah. Like I said, I didn't learn that till today. And
Yeah.
honestly, it made me like it a little bit more because of how much harder it must have been to do this. And it's his son that took over.
Okay, so that makes sense because at least then he knows his father and he.
But I have to
wants
imagine there was a lot of like, can I live up to the bar my dad set? Because it's
There's a
such an
very
incredibly, yeah.
there's a very big monkey on his back making that one.
And this had to be a super emotional because it's such a family oriented story and everything.
Oh yeah.
Like there had to be a lot of emotion going into this, I have to imagine.
Oh yeah, and I know there's a lot of people that are like, they made me cry over a puppet little frog who died. Like, so it brings the emotion. Like, it doesn't hold back. Like David says, there is jokes, and it is a musical, which a good number of the Christmas Carol ones are musical. But I think as far
Which
as
is so bizarre to me.
yeah, it doesn't feel like the material to be a musical. But as far as the musical ones, this is probably the best.
Yeah.
Some of the other ones, they're too musical and it's almost too lighthearted for the story. But I think this one fits a good balance of being joyous and lighthearted where it needs to be. Because obviously it's for a younger demographic, but it never delves into like the Mickey Mouse version where it's like way too lighthearted because it still shows the darkness. And again, the casting of the Muppets as who they are much better than like Goofy as Marley. Like it made
Yeah,
no
like
sense.
it doesn't. Yeah. See, and I think the fact that that was fully animated also took away from it.
Mhm.
I think the Muppets, with it having a real person being Scrooge and it being set like in a real life, I think
And real
brought
sets
it
and
more
stuff.
of that gravity of it. Yeah. And I've told you guys this before, but I've heard people say that like the reason this is so good, this and like Treasure Island, is in the, as far as the two leading characters, that Michael Caine treated all the Muppets as if they were like real actors. Like everybody was there as like a Shakespearean actor being serious, getting this done. Whereas Tim Curry treated himself like a Muppet. And that's why both acting like work so well. That Michael Caine respected them as fellow actors, and Tim Curry was just like, "I'm a Muppet too."
I am Muppet now.
That is so funny.
And I'm like, and it fits. Like when you see their performances, it's like, no, I get it. Like that totally makes sense of like how they got into the mindset of doing it. Is like he had to see them all as like people, and then the other one he had to be like, no, I'm one of these things.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's funny because Michael Caine is such a well-respected, even at this time. It's not like he was a young duckling or anything at this point, but he,
he's a well-established actor at this point.
I want to say when he did Muppets Christmas Carol, he was even more known as a serious actor. Like he hadn't done Batman and all that. He hadn't, done any of the more like fan-friendly roles.
He did do Jaws: The Revenge. But again, that was just to pay off the house he wanted to build.
And I understand that. But yeah, but most of the stuff he had done up to that point was very serious. Like he had done Shakespeare in the West End in London. Like he was seen as a pretty serious actor. So it's really funny that he was like, now I'm going to do this.
So speaking of serious actors, there's a lot of like pretty big name actors that played Scrooge. What was one of the first ones even played him on stage and then played him in a film adaptation in 1951. Mm-hmm. What is it about Scrooge, do you think, that draws these actors to playing him?
Personally, as somebody who has acted before, at least for me personally, what I would think, I think it's one of those roles that, I mean, to get the vanity out of the way, you're the main character. A Christmas Carol, anytime you ever see it, it is going to hinge on you. If you don't have a good Scrooge, it sucks. Doesn't matter how good everything else is. You carry that entire show. You also, this is probably one of the most leading man roles that you get to display the largest range of emotions. Because he goes through pretty much everything throughout this entire show. Like you get a lot of going for it. You get a lot of monologues. You get a lot of, different experiences throughout it. Again, it's a classic story. You're stepping into the shoes of one of the most well-known, probably Christmas characters, or I guess literary characters of all time. And it's a challenge because, again, you're going through all these emotions. You've got to accurately, you basically have to make audiences hate you and then love you.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is a very dynamic role.
Yeah,
you're almost two separate people from the beginning to the end.
Well, plus you have to show like power.
It's probably very challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus you have to show power to the point that you're making people feel afraid of you while also feeling afraid of the different spirits.
And then sympathizing with you.
Yeah.
And because if you're Ebenezer, they have to be cheering for you by the end. But at the beginning of the show, they want you dead.
Yeah, you won't even give your people cold to make a fire. And it's
you have to make it to where they like feel bad for you when you're at your family's Christmas party and they're making fun of you.
Right. It's probably it's also like in that way it's also a very challenging role too, because it's you have to demand that power of the audience and probably of your fellow cast members as well. They have to be afraid of you at least a little bit too to make their performances believable as well.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. But that raises an interesting question. If it was up to you guys today, who would you cast in a new Christmas Carol adaptation? If you had to cast Ebenezer, Bob Cratchit, and the I guess 4 ghosts.
Daniel Day-Lewis, David.
I mean,
as Ebenezer.
Okay.
Just because he's an actor that I know can show many different emotions.
See, I feel like somebody like Ian McKellen is too old.
Yes. Because you still have to be kind of able to move around and do some different things.
God, I know he's gone now. You know who would have been a really good Scrooge, I think? He might have even done it, but I don't think so. I would have loved to have seen Sean Connery.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, you know what? No. You know who would be a great Ebenezer Scrooge? Harrison Ford.
I can see Harrison Ford a little bit.
because he would just be himself to be
that.
hated, and then
It would just be about Star Wars.
because I know he has
I mean,
that
if we're
very
going off,
off-putting personality and stuff.
if we're going off Star Wars actors, I can definitely see Mark Hamill doing it too, though. I think Mark
I feel
Hamill
like Harrison
would have the
Ford
chops.
would be he has the acting chops, but I think Harrison Ford would do a better Ebenezer Scrooge. I think Mark Hamill, like he could definitely do it, but I don't know if it would be as good. He's a little more cartoony.
Yeah, when he goes villain, because we've seen it in The Flash, we've seen it in Avatar. When he starts to go really angry and villain, that Joker seeps through.
Yeah.
And I think it's too recognizable.
I think a really good, if we're keeping it like British, maybe Colin Firth. I think could do a really good Ebenezer Scrooge. Do you know who he is?
Yes, he was in
I know who he
Disney
is. Yeah.
Christmas Carol and A King's Speech, but
he's in Kingsman. Yeah. If not him, maybe even.
What about Pierce Brosnan?
I don't know if he has the warmth that would be needed at some parts. You know, like I don't know if he's entertaining enough.
I feel like I'm blanking on British actors in my head right now.
I can't believe I don't remember his name. Who just did Naked Gun?
Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson. Yes, I would watch Liam Neeson as Ebenezer Scrooge.
That would be a very interesting one.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting take.
Ooh, what about, how do we feel about Gary Oldman?
Oh, he'd probably do a very good job.
I feel like he would do a good job.
I feel like he would do an extremely good job.
Gary Oldman also in Disney's A Christmas Carol. You guys are just naming people from Disney's A Christmas Carol now.
Let's see. What about the entire cast of Disney's A Christmas Carol? They're all old enough now, right?
So I'm going to tell you now. Like, are we talking about this one that's over here in Brennan's? I hate that movie. I think it's one of the worst adaptations, just because I can't stand that Jim Carrey is like everybody.
Is that the one we're talking about?
Yeah.
Is that the one you're talking about, Keegan?
Yeah. That's the one you guys keep naming actors that were in that movie.
Yeah, well, I'm talking live adaptation. I'd rather see. I understand they were in it. I'd rather see them do. I think I said Gary Oldman would make a good Scrooge. I feel like.
Oh, you know who would actually be a really good Scrooge? Like he's older, but not so much that he looks like kind of like Patrick Stewart, like in this, or like George Clooney. Because I could see him being hated. Like
I have a hard time with that.
Very heartless.
I have a hard time. Another actor I can see doing it, one that just popped in my head, and Keegan, if I'm naming another character from Disney's A Christmas Carol, I apologize in advance, but Willem Dafoe.
I could absolutely see that, but I also see him better as like Marley.
I would pick him as Marley.
I'd pick Willem Dafoe as Marley because he seems like that, like he was his slimy kind of partner, and now he's showing up full of chains and stuff.
Is Doctor Strange too young? Should we go with Jeremy Irons instead?
Well, I will tell you guys this. Coming out next year from Paramount Pictures, we do have a dark gothic retelling of A Christmas Carol. It's going to be entitled Ebenezer, A Christmas Carol. And Ebenezer Scrooge is being played by everybody's favorite pirate, Johnny Depp.
Is he really?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
As like a very dark version of A Christmas Carol. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a chance.
I'll give it a chance too.
Did you guys watch the BBC 2019 version? I don't know who played Scrooge, but it was like a 3-hour television series that apparently was very, very dark.
I did not.
Sure.
Was that the one that was on Hulu?
Oh, it was the TV series. Yeah,
really
I didn't get the chance to watch that one, but I really wanted to check it out.
I just learned about it today. I was doing some research.
There was an Apple movie, there was a Christmas Carol from like Apple where there was a very young Scrooge.
Oh, animated?
No, it was live action, and it was also modern. Like he was just a modern, like he was like a guy in his 30s who just like had a business, and he's just like at the very beginning, he's like, yeah, actually, you know what? I will give a donation, and I'm gonna go ahead and write it off of my taxes next year. That way, it doesn't actually count as a donation. But
Apparently, a lot of people think that David Tennant should be Ebenezer Scrooge. I don't think he's old enough.
No, I don't think he's quite old enough yet.
Kelsey Grammer would be interesting.
He's already played him.
Did he? When did he play him?
2004.
Okay. Was it good?
No. I haven't. I don't have a lot of remembrance of it, but I know I watched this thing today where they ranked the movies based on their bringing the source material to screen, and it was ranked pretty low.
I like the thought of Ralph Fiennes. I think he could do it.
I mean, I like Ralph Fiennes. Well, I don't know.
I mean, we all know who the perfect casting would be, though.
Behind Cooper.
Jared Leto.
Oh god.
Keegan, I need you to stop with the young.
Yeah, it's not funny when we bring it up every single time.
Yeah, but this is actually about acting.
Somebody says Christian Bale. That'd be stupid.
Yeah,
I don't think Christian Bale yet. I would give it like maybe 10, 15 years, I think.
What do we think about Hugh Laurie?
It's better than some of the other choices. I don't know if I'm sold on it, but it could work.
I think I see him more as Sherlock Holmes, though.
Yeah. That's why I thought Benedict, but he's, I think, too young.
Yeah, he's not there yet. J.K. Simmons.
That might be a good one, because J.K., especially after like Whiplash, like he can do the emotions. Like
I could see it.
Yeah, I would not be against that. If we got a J.K. Simmons one, I would watch that.
He'd also be really good as the ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. If we're not just doing the typical in a cloak. If it actually has to be like a threatening kind of, guy that doesn't have like a huge part, but like talking to him kind of thing.
Yeah, but I like the cloak.
I think you have to keep the Grim Reaper looking.
Yeah, it just fills the ghost part that it needs.
I do think Jeremy Irons would be good though.
Yeah, I like Jeremy
that
Irons.
You said earlier.
That's another good one.
I think he would be fantastic at it. Well, somebody said Bill Skarsgård. The dude's like 35.
Skarsgård. It's always one of the Skarsgårds, and no.
What? Bill Nighy? Or is it Bill Nye? Like, how do you pronounce his name? Is it Bill? Okay, yeah, Bill Nye. He'd be good.
Yeah, I can't find
not the science guy, Nick.
No, I understand. I can't find the version that I was just mentioning, but I did find the description for it in like Google's AI, and it was like instead of he's like a tech billionaire in Seattle, and like it didn't work for me.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
Oh, it was awful.
Yeah, I will say I've watched quite a bit today about different people's takes on all the Christmas carols and which ones were their favorites, and it really comes down to like 4 out of all of them that I hear over and over and over again. One of which is a Muppets. Obviously, we've talked about it. Another is behind Nick. Let me get the other one. It was the 1954 one, but I forget.
54 or 51?
51.
That was my grandmother's favorite version.
Who's the actor that played him, though? Because that's the version they call. But that version, the 1984 George C. Scott one, and then I have heard a lot of people say the Disney's Christmas Carol. So those are like the ones that are brought up, usually the least favorite are like Scrooged or the BBC version because it was so overly dark. Um, Even the Mickey Mouse one, a lot of people say has not aged as well.
When you Google it, the first one that comes up is the Muppet one of like what is the best version. It's a Muppet and then the 1999 Patrick Stewart one.
That one, when I was watching the one where she ranked like how accurate it was to the source material, she
That's the
gave it to
one.
that one.
Yes, that's the most accurate to the book. The only thing that people ever like downplay that one is that it obviously has a TV budget
Yeah.
since it wasn't movie.
Yeah,
making,
it's
which I think
very
it would have definitely benefited from.
it's definitely very low budget, but that's also like part of the reason why I love it so much too, is that it has a
That
little bit
charm.
more. It has a little bit, more of an intimate charm behind it for me. Like it feels like that one is the closest to one for me to watching like a stage play production on the screen.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. This list has Spirited, that one I was telling you guys about, as the bottom one.
I want to watch it because I'm a fan of Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell, but I also
I
heard
know
myself it
that's
was not
what
a
I
great
thought too.
movie.
That's what I thought too, and that's why I was like, okay, that's why I was like excited about it because I like A Christmas Carol, I like Ryan Reynolds, I like Will Ferrell, like okay, and then it was bad. It's not A Christmas Carol in the typical sense. It's more of the concept of the ghost visiting on Christmas. It's like a corporation, and it's like their job to send these ghosts to do this kind of thing. Like it's weird.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. So the actor for the 51 one was Alistair Sim, and I do believe he played him on stage as well.
He
So that's
probably
kind of
did
fun.
around the 50s. I mean, I feel like a lot of actors nowadays do that. They'll do both stage and film, but I feel like that was a lot more common back in like the early days of film.
Yeah. So those are the 5 I think I heard the most being brought up, and I think all 4 of us probably have different favorite ones.
Keegan, what's yours? What's your favorite version of the Christmas Carol?
It's probably the 1984 one with George C. Scott. So we know Brendan's because it's behind him. He said it was his favorite.
He said it was his favorite.
Brendan was
David's
actually
Definitely the Muppet.
definitely the Muppet. Yeah, and then mine's obviously the one with Patrick Stewart from 1999.
But again, I think that's why the Christmas Carol is so timeless. Is it made so many good movies that we each have a different favorite, and so many people online have similar favorites to all of us, but similar favorites to everyone else.
Yeah, because I mean, going back to what we said, like, okay, what's your favorite Wizard of Oz movie? Mine's the original. How about you guys?
Yeah, I think everyone's is the original. There.
No. Keegan told me in confidence that his favorite was The Wiz. Actually,
That's why we didn't cover it, because he couldn't bear to have us not give it a 10.
it's the same reason why. It's the same reason why It's like those 2 movies, The Wiz and Jurassic World Rebirth, are his 2 favorite movies of all time.
He's just hoping they'll eventually do a crossover.
I did rewatch
Jurassic
World Rebirth recently. Had a good time. Enjoyed it.
He watched it on the plane to Orlando, and he like texted me. He sent me a picture. He's like, "The flight just got 10 times better, bro." And I was like, "How many times have you watched that movie?"
I'm glad I'm not on the list of getting pictures about that, because he used to send me like, "Look, I'm watching." I'm like, no, I don't even put up with it anymore.
I think it'd be funny if they did a Jurassic Christmas Carol.
How? No,
That's for you to find out, Keegan.
David talked about Muppets Jurassic Park.
See, that would be good. I would watch Muppets Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
I would not watch a Jurassic Christmas Carol.
I don't know how you would make that happen.
But
I want them to make it happen.
Interesting
for
choice,
Keegan.
though. I know that his most famous role was as Santa Claus, but the guy who played
Richard
what's his name?
Attenborough.
Yeah, him as Scrooge would have been good.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could have
Santa Claus? Which Santa Claus was he?
Miracle on 34th
on
Street,
34th Street.
the remake.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
because he was very Santa like he's great as Santa. Like I'll give it to him, but he would have been a pretty good Scrooge, I bet. Or Ghost of Christmas Present.
Ghost of Christmas Present. Who played Hagrid again? Robbie
dead.
Coltrane. I know, but if
he
so is
is
Richard
unfortunately he's
Richard
unfortunately
Attenborough.
unavailable.
So is Richard Attenborough. He died a long time ago.
Okay,
Very unfortunately unavailable.
If we're talking dead people, I will say Alan
Maggie
Rickman
Smith
probably would have been a hell of a Scrooge.
Oh, Alan Rickman for sure. I was saying Maggie Smith as a joke, but then now
I
you
know.
said Alan Rickman. Yeah, absolutely.
You know how good he would have been as Ebenezer Scrooge. He could have nailed that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That might have been like his signature role if he would have been able to do that before he passed.
Because in a way,
I
that's
think he
Snape's
would have killed
story.
it.
Yeah, because we hate Snape, and then
And
you
then you
learn,
sympathize
"Wasn't
it,
that
you
bad?"
know.
Yeah.
But yeah, having him in a really well done big budget film version of it probably would have been amazing.
Bah humbug.
I think it could have, and not bah humbug, right?
Nah, not bah humbug. Bah humbug, Potter.
There's more gravy than grave about you.
Is Daniel Radcliffe going to be in this as well? Is that what you're saying, Nick?
He's Tiny Tim.
Yeah, he's Tiny Tim.
Even at his age, we don't shrink him down. Nothing.
We don't de-age him. We just constantly look down where he would have like his height where he would have been at the start of filming the Harry Potter series. Even though
it's his current height.
I was just going to say they use like snippets of him from the first Harry Potter and just like digitally insert it, and they're like, "Yep, there's Tiny Tim."
Nope. It's Dan Radcliffe now, facial hair and everything.
I was thinking Daniel Radcliffe now, but there's a picture of younger self, like where his height would have been, and they're just like not paying attention to the grown-up version of him.
I don't know what we're talking about.
Anyway,
he's really into Daniel Radcliffe apparently.
He wants to CGI the current Daniel Radcliffe back to his youth's height.
You know who I feel like? I don't know who would be Scrooge, and this is if we're not keeping it British. You know who would be a great Bob Cratchit?
Who?
Paul Rudd.
Maybe. I guess it depends on the tone.
I can see it. It took me a second, but I can see it. Like I was thinking, I had a hard time picturing it because I've Paul Rudd's the most recent films I've known him for are like Marvel movies, but like the movie that sold it for me just now was Our Idiot Brother.
Oh, he's great
in that movie. He's absolutely great in that, and I can see him being that downtrodden kind of guy,
and still trying to be optimistic, and still trying to like keep his family together, like against the odds kind of guy.
Or like another movie that kind of sold it for me is like This Is 40. I can definitely see Paul Rudd.
Yeah, like you just feel for him kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then having like the kid on his shoulder and stuff, like it'd be sad.
Now, where would you throw Steve Buscemi?
Marley.
Fezziwig.
Fezziwig?
Yep.
I can see that. I was thinking Ghost of Christmas Present, actually.
That'd be really funny.
Just because I feel like he has that ability to kind of like push the morality factor.
I still think Willem Dafoe is the best Marley. I feel like he would fit that so well. And being the first ghost you see and still kind of scary, kind of, and like, because you could see him have being that business guy that never changed his ways. And it was just like, fuck you all till he died. And now he's like, listen, dude, we fucked up. I think he would do really well. I guess if you are going younger, I guess because now my mind is on like Marvel, I do think Tom Holland would be a good Bob Cratchit too. Depending on who's playing. Actually, Tom Holland would be a good Fred.
What about like Tom Hiddleston as
Scrooge?
Not Scrooge, Cratchit.
Bob Cratchit. I could see that.
Yeah.
He's not old enough for Scrooge yet, but I bet he would do a great Scrooge when he's like 10, 15 years older.
Yeah. I could see it.
Because he's a phenomenal actor. I think he's probably one of the best Marvel actors there is.
Yeah, I mean, there's some really good ones too. I'm trying to think of older roles, but
do you guys think Robert Downey Jr. would be a good Ebenezer Scrooge at some point?
no.
I can see it at some point, like give it like maybe 15, 20 years.
Like, okay, if you had to cast Christmas Carol with Marvel actors, who do you go for?
If I'm going just Marvel actors, I would put Downey as Scrooge.
Who's Thor's dad?
Anthony
Hannibal.
Hopkins.
Yeah, Hopkins. Make him Scrooge.
I think he's too old to be Scrooge.
You think so?
I do. I think he would be like Fezziwig.
All right, so if we're just using Marvel actors, I'm putting Benedict Cumberbatch as Scrooge.
He wouldn't be bad. I do think he's a little young now, but he could eventually do it, I think.
Yeah. And the way he plays Sherlock, like he could do Scrooge.
So
like,
if he's Scrooge, who's Bob Cratchit?
Tom Hiddleston.
Paul Rudd.
I think if I have to do Marvel, I think the nephew would be Sebastian Stan.
Fred, yeah, I can see that. Tiny Tim is obviously going to be played by Tom Holland if we're going just Marvel actors.
No, it's Paul Rudd, but in his Ant-Man size. Oh, Michael Douglas might do a good Scrooge.
I think he's too old though too. He's looking kind of rough lately.
You know what? Michael Douglas can be Fezziwig. Actually, no.
I think Michael Douglas is Ghost of Christmas Past.
No, he's too old for that. I think Ghost of Christmas Past is usually like it'd be something like Brie Larson.
And then you'd have all the people complain though.
Oh, they're already complaining that Benedict Cumberbatch is Scrooge.
He's not old enough.
I'll be like, we just put some gray in his hair. We're fine.
I'm surprised Keegan hasn't made the other obvious joke yet.
No,
you know what? Actually, another either Bob Cratchit or Fred, Charlie Cox.
I would put Charlie Cox as Bob Cratchit.
I can see it.
He's the most believable, like family man, doing what he can for. Yeah, no, absolutely, yes, that's a good choice. I agree. Good job, Nick.
For Ghost of Christmas Past, I would say Tilda Swinton, who played the Ancient One.
That would be. Would she be bald still?
Maybe, because in the book it seems like maybe the head's like a candle. It feels like the ghost is almost candle-like. So I feel like you got to have some of that flame going on. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I could see it.
Ghost of Christmas Future. Let me tell you something. No, not connecting the dots there. Did I freeze? What's going on here?
Who are you trying to say?
John.
Oh, you're talking
John Bernthal.
Yeah, I get it.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
No, you know what? This is gonna sound crazy. I actually pick him as Fred.
I don't think it works.
I think it does. In like a wholesome role, I think he could do it.
I think I could also see John Bernthal doing Scrooge though too. He's very believable as the angry guy.
Who would be the Ghost of Christmas Present out of the Marvel actors? Besides Yusuf Khan.
Chris Hemsworth.
I was gonna say Chris Hemsworth too.
Oh no. What about Idris Elba?
I can see Idris Elba.
I could see it.
I was thinking Fat Thor for me for Ghost of Christmas Present.
No.
He's supposed to be like a genie.
Oh, I can't believe I don't remember his name right now. What's his name? Would be a fantastic Scrooge though. God, dude that played Thanos.
Oh, Josh Brolin.
He would be a good Scrooge, I bet.
Where would you put Chris Evans? for just the final Marvel actor we're going to talk
Chris
about.
Evans Chris Evans would probably be the nephew. I think he would fit that role as that kind of middle class, like, very optimistic.
Yeah, very optimistic kind of charm to him.
He would probably be one of the two guys trying to get donations from Scrooge at the beginning of the movie.
That's where Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie.
So who plays the turkey that they buy to give to the family at the end?
Obviously, Scarlett Johansson.
So who are we saying is Scrooge?
No.
I'm still with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Because if it's Benedict, I'm
I'm
going to change my answer because we don't want to keep the same pairing. But if it's not Benedict, I would say what's her name would be Belle, the one that's Rachel McAdams.
Rachel McAdams, yeah.
She'd be a very good choice for that, but not if it's Benedict because that's the same love interest from the Strange movies. We got to change it up.
So if it was Robert Downey Jr., would you pick Gwyneth Paltrow?
No, I'm saying that I would pick Rachel McAdams if it wasn't.
Yeah.
If it wasn't, okay, gotcha.
And I'm gonna say, if Charlie Cox is Bob Cratchit, I think Miss Cratchit is Scarlet Witch, Elizabeth Olsen.
I can see that.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad one.
I feel like that. Like I feel like they could be married. And then Tom Holland, of course, is Tiny Tim, as we said.
Yep. 100%.
No changes.
No changes. No. Just give everybody 4-inch lifts in their shoes. Just to make Tom Holland that much shorter.
Not even that. They'll just cut divots into the floorboards so he has to stand into the floor neck. All right, go. Disney, if you're
do we agree?
We're going to sign on board.
Do we agree Willem Dafoe is Marley?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I think one of the donation guys, as funny as it would be to be those two, I think one of them is Mark Ruffalo. Because I would almost put him Bob Cratchit, but I think he's a little old.
I think Mark Ruffalo should be one of the dudes robbing his body at the end. I think that'd be hilarious.
Wow. He's the guy that they're bringing the stuff to.
That's what I was thinking just now.
I think that would be hilarious. Let's get that on the boards. A Marvel Christmas Carol. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Oh, you know what? Never mind. I picked a new Belle. It's not going to be Rachel McAdams. It is going to be Florence Pugh.
Maybe she might do better as Mrs. Cratchit.
With Charlie Cox?
Yeah, I see that a little bit better.
Okay.
I would say
I was going to say Elizabeth Olsen would be better as the Ghost of Christmas Past. But Tilda Swinton's also a good choice, so that's tough for me to...
Yeah, I think you might be able to do Olsen as Belle.
I think she's
so guys. Any closing thoughts here? We want to before we go down this rabbit hole. We can continue this rabbit hole off camera, but
I guess we can officially announce it then. They've chosen us to announce to you guys that they have canceled Avengers Doomsday. It is Avengers Christmas Carol. Coming to theaters next season, so be ready for that.
We're pretty excited.
Filming
spoilers away.
Filming will start 2 days from now and end 6 days from now.
That's right. We've got it locked in. No, I just think as far as the movie's adaptation and everything, I think the fact that there's all of this just speaks even more to the timelessness of this story and the fact that there are so many adaptations. And even though everybody has their favorite, I haven't heard anybody be like, oh, that's absolute garbage, because it's still a good story at its heart, regardless of how it's put together. So it was definitely a winning formula, and almost 200 years later, we're still here talking about it. So Charlie Dickens, wherever you are, good for you, buddy.
Charles Dickens, thank you very much for this story.
Yeah, I will say
close friends call him Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie.
Or Chuck. His nickname was Chuck Dick.
I will say I have heard people say certain adaptation, like movie wise, are garbage, but not because of the material, because it strays so far from the material. It's a terrible adaptation.
Yeah, the further you get away, the worse it gets.
Yeah, and so I think
it says something that the best ones stay to the book.
Yeah, and like the one I watched where it was talking about the accuracy, the Disney one, the Christmas Carol, Muppets, the 84, and then the 51, also all got really high marks for staying accurate to the book. And so I think that's again why people like it, is it just has that timeless nature. Maybe you like a different version, but it just speaks to how, I don't know, he tapped into something magical. Like David said earlier, maybe there is just something magical about Christmas, and Dickens was able to grab it and put it onto paper, and we're reading
And
it.
for sure, anybody watching this, please comment below. Let us know what is your favorite version and what makes you like it so much.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us your thoughts if you read the book as well. What are your things you take away from reading it?
Speaking of which, before we end, Nick, you also have our brand new year January pick. Would you like to tell us what the next book is going to be in 2026?
The next book we're going to be reading for January in 2026 is called Gates to Kagoshima by Poppy Karaoke.
All right.
And it's going to be it feels like it's very much a feudal Japan story, not based really like too much in history, but still based on the historical period. That'll be in January of 2026.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to it. Have not read that one before, so.
Me neither.
And unless we move it around, it looks like that discussion will be here on January 5th, the first Monday of the new year.
Woo!
Yep.
Happy New Year. That's how we break it in.
There you
Absolutely.
go.
Well,
by jumping into feudal Japan.
Absolutely. From all of us here at the Society of Main Characters, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.